What's going on, guys? Point Pleasant here, and we're going to be talking about the Civivi Knifecenter exclusive Badlands Vagabond. The Vagabond means wanderer, and I'm pretty sure if you set this thing down, it'd wander off because this is actually a pretty sweet knife. We're going to talk about it, and first off, I want to say I love the black and white on this knife. I love the design of it. I love how they've got this white FRN with all this black accents and hardware. I wish more knife companies would do this aesthetic because I think it's really just something that appeals to me, the black and white zebra look. I think that it's something that's done not often enough, that more companies should give you this kind of aesthetic, especially with this FRN. It just kind of goes well. But you might recognize this from the Knifecenter videos where they did some Halloween stuff. They dyed this and made it look like candy corn, and they did another one where they dyed one burnt orange. So if, black and white is not your thing, just know that you can get this and some RIT dye, and you can make this knife your own. You can do the backspace, or you can do the scales. You can do this knife in pretty much any color you want to. Obviously, you'd have to switch out the hardware to get that into a different color, but you can make these white pieces right here any color you want with RIT dye, and the FRN takes those colors really well. So this is a knife that, doesn't cost an insane amount, and you could really make it your own if you wanted to. Right off the bat, price is under $100. This is a $80 knife that's coming with S35 VN, and I think that that is an amazing price for a knife that is this smooth, this nice feeling, and you can get that for $80. The original Badlands Vagabond comes in 9CR 18 MOV, which is not nearly as good of a steal. You're looking at $80 for S35 VN, $40 for the original. It almost makes no sense to buy the original while this is still in stock, which it is at the time of making this video. It's running on caged ceramic bearings, and it does have a very nice, smooth action. So you can, deploying it is easy. You got the reverse flick. You got the flipper tab back here, which is well jimped and kind of low profile, doesn't get in the way, in and out of the pocket. It is a nice knife. If we're being honest, Civivi has just been crushing it all 2022. They've been putting out stuff that is just so budget friendly and so nice feeling that it's almost like these other companies are going to have to take notice what Civivi's done, the amount of quality they've been able to pack into, an 80 or sub $100 knife. I think you're going to start seeing more manufacturers put stuff like this out that, it's kind of hard to get you to pay more money for a nice knife when companies like Civivi are putting out stuff like this all the time. So, you're talking about really high quality stuff for really, really reasonable prices. It's not that difficult to get a good pocket knife anymore, and something that you can really depend on. So let's do some comparisons real quick while I got you going. We're going to talk about this one, which is the Civivi Cogent, and I'll talk about why I brought this one out, because this is another knife that was a Knifecenter exclusive. It is another excellent choice for under $100. This one's slightly more expensive than the Badlands Vagabond, but with that you get ebony wood and, a button lock instead of a liner lock. So if you're looking at this and you're like, liner lock's not my thing, well, you still got this, which is a Knifecenter exclusive, and it's another very nice knife for under $100, both in S35 VN. So that's why I wanted to compare those two, and size. And then you have your Benchmade bug out, which is virtually the same size as the Badlands Vagabond, very close in size. And S30V, S35 VN, S30V, but you're looking at a much more expensive knife in the bug out here. And then you're saying, still FRN. The only thing that really makes a huge difference between these two knives is the access lock and, of course, the weight. So if you're willing to pay the butterfly tax on something like a bug out, then by all means do it. They're nice knives. Obviously, I bought a couple, but you can get a knife that feels very similar in the pocket, rides low, just like the bug out, and as good a steel. I don't think that there's anybody who's going to question this 35V is a high quality steel, and all you're losing out on is this access lock. If you're comfortable with a liner lock, I think that this is clearly the better purchase. And then what I would like to compare is the Griptilian, because I believe the Griptilians have very similar ergos. You can kind of see the difference between this Vagabond and these Griptilians is these are more rounded in the scales, thicker. I mean, it's all around a bigger knife. Even the small one feels blockier in your hand by comparison to the Vagabond. And this one kind of fits in the middle of the two sizes, somewhere in the middle of the size range. But this one feels better in my hand. It feels much smaller, honestly. So if I'm putting this, if I'm looking for a knife that's going to give me better blade length, better size and feel in the pocket, I don't think that these two, I think these two are outdated examples. This right here has come in and taken these Griptilians and made them virtually obsolete, in my opinion. And I love the Griptilian. Obviously, I've carried this one quite a bit, used it quite a bit, but this right here makes me not interested in carrying either of these two knives anymore. These two are now obsolete, even though they have very similar ergonomics and shape. You kind of see the same rounded off handle and shape to the ergos. This is just not, this is too small. But this fits my hand perfectly. It's very nice feeling, and the only thing I'm losing out on is the access lock, which, like I said, if you're comfortable with a liner lock, no big deal. So let's get a measurement real quick for you. If you're looking for some blade size, it is about 2 3/4 inches, almost 3 inches in cutting edge. But the actual blade length is about 3 1/4. So you really only got about 2 3/4 cutting edge, but you got some reach because of this little finger choil right here. And in the handle, you're looking at just over 4 inches. So total knife length, we're looking at 7 and almost a half. Not quite a half, but just shy of 7 1/2. So it's a very good size knife. If you live in a place where you can carry a blade that's longer than 3 inches, this is a very practical blade length, practical knife altogether. It's got stainless steel liners, black, skeletonized. You can kind of see them in there. They've been skeletonized pretty good. And of course the liner lock is the same material, stainless steel. And it's really easy to actuate. It's easy to get in there because of the jimping on this liner lock, and it sticks out just slightly past the scale. You can get in there, actuate it real easily, and it feels really good. So let's go to some cons of this knife, because there aren't very many. For the price and for what you're getting, everything included, it is hard to say no to this knife. But I would like to say there's no jimping on the back of the blade. And that kind of bothers me just a little bit, because with a knife like the Cogent and most of the Civivi lineup, they come with this jimping, and I really, really enjoy it. I think it's about the perfect amount of aggressiveness. I think that they do such a good job with their jimping that it's almost a little disappointing that they didn't put it on here. But I think, you know, the thumb stud was an issue. They didn't want to cut into this area because of how high the thumb stud rides on the blade. You don't want to add any more weakness to the back of this blade. But I do wish that they would have done something to keep it from being so smooth back here. Sometimes it does feel like this knife is a little bit slippery in places. Even the texturing on the side of the FRN is not the most aggressive. So the other thing is there's nothing back here. So when you're squeezing this knife against your hand, or whatever it is that you're doing to try to get, you know, purchase on it, it can be pretty smooth. You know, that's one thing that I do like about the Griptilian over this knife, is that they did some jimping all across the back here. So whenever you're pinching the knife into your hand or whatever, you've got a little bit of abrasion that kind of grips your hand back there. This one, nothing. It is smooth, and because it's rounded off back here, it will slip and slide, and 999 times out of 1,000, you probably won't drop this knife, but it only takes one to put you in the shop fixing a chip or putting a new tip on your knife, and nobody likes that. And the last thing I'll say about it is, because of this finger choil right here, where it is nice to be able to choke up on the blade, but again, no jimping makes me a little nervous to do so sometimes. But, when you have this big space back here and you're cutting, say, through a box or whatever, it's kind of sometimes easy for the back of the knife to slip out, and you get caught in this space that's unsharpened, and you just slip out of the cut a little bit. Not a big deal. The more you use a knife, the more you get used to it, and those kind of things become not a big deal after you get used to your knife. But those are really basic cons of this knife. I don't think that any of them are worth not getting the knife. If this is something that you're really interested in, if it feels like, that could be the knife that I want to carry around, I would not let any of those things stop me from purchasing it, because it is a great knife, and you can't beat it for the price. The only thing that I find that's even comparable right now is this Civivi Cogent, another Knifecenter exclusive in S35BN. For an extra, say, $18, you can end up with this ebony wood S35BN, but I've already done a review on that, so if you want to see that, go take a look at it. But all in all, for a liner lock knife with good opening mechanisms, you can reverse flick it, you can do whatever you want with it. It's a great knife. If you're looking into it, you won't be disappointed. And thank you for watching. If y'all got anything to say about it, let me know in the comments. Give me a like, and please subscribe. Y'all have a good one. Appreciate you.